Attention passionate Atlanta, Falcons fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC South and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Atlanta Falcons' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Atlanta Falcons fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Atlanta, FALCONS FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying attention to the NFL offseason, you already know that the Atlanta Falcons are once again at a crossroads. After a season that left many fans with mixed feelings, some proud, others frustrated, the team is making moves that could potentially reshape their future. And one of the most significant headlines that's been buzzing around the league recently is the signing of Khalil Mack. Yes, Khalil Mack, one of the most feared pass rushers in the NFL, is reportedly heading to Atlanta, and this news has sent shockwaves through the NFC South. But before we dive deep into what this means for the Falcons and their Super Bowl aspirations, let's set the stage for a moment. Because honestly, the Falcons' journey over the past few seasons has been a roller coaster, full of ups and downs, and this offseason might be the one that finally pushes them over the edge. If we cast our minds back just a few years, the Falcons were riding high after their incredible Super Bowl appearance in 2016, led by the explosive offense under coach Dan Quinn and quarterback Matt Ryan. That team was a powerhouse, and they looked poised to dominate the NFC for years to come. But as we all know, the NFL is a league of ebbs and flows, and injuries, roster changes, and tough divisional rivals like the Saints and Buccaneers have kept Atlanta from reaching that same peak again. Fast forward to the recent offseason, and the Falcons found themselves in a familiar position, needing to bolster their defense, particularly their pass rush. Because, let's be honest, the Falcons' defense has struggled to generate consistent pressure on opposing quarterbacks, something that's vital in today's pass-heavy NFL. Last season, if you looked at the numbers, Atlanta ranked near the bottom of the league in sacks and pressure rate. In fact, they finished with just 31 sacks all season, placing them 31st in the league. That's a stark contrast to the powerhouse defenses of a few years back, and it's clear that improving pressure on the quarterback is a top priority. And it's not just about sacks. It's about disrupting rhythm, forcing turnovers, and ultimately winning games. Last year, the team's inability to consistently get after the quarterback was a big reason why they fell short in crucial moments. The trade for Matthew Judon was supposed to help fill that gap, but unfortunately, Judon's production didn't meet expectations, just 25 pressures and 6 sacks after posting stellar numbers in New England. It was a clear indication that the Falcons needed to explore other options, whether through the draft or free agency. And here's where things get really interesting. The 2025 draft class has some intriguing defensive line prospects, with a handful of talented edge rushers ready to make an impact. But the draft isn't the only avenue. Free agency is also brimming with veterans who could bring immediate pressure and leadership. The Falcons are expected to explore both routes, and that's why the recent rumors about Khalil Mack signing in Atlanta are so exciting. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Khalil Mack, isn't he a bit past his prime? Well, that's true to some extent. Mack is no longer the 2018 version of himself, when he was arguably the most dominant pass rusher in the league. But let's be clear, Mack remains a top-tier edge rusher, still capable of wreaking havoc on opposing quarterbacks. Even operating just below his prime levels, he's still one of the most disruptive players in the NFL. The Athletic's Mike Jones has been one of the most vocal analysts predicting that Mack could land in Atlanta, and he makes a compelling case. The Falcons, coming off a season where they ranked 31st in sacks, absolutely need help in this department. They need a game-changer on the edge, someone who can consistently pressure the quarterback and help turn their defense into a feared unit again. And Mack, having been named to the Pro Bowl in each of the last 3 seasons with the Chargers, checks all those boxes. His experience, leadership, and pass-rushing ability could be exactly what the Falcons need to take a significant step forward. It's a move that could elevate the entire defense, allowing younger players to learn from a seasoned veteran and creating a more aggressive, relentless pass rush. Now, of course, signing a player of Mack's caliber isn't just about talent, it's also about the financials. The Falcons aren't known for their deep pockets, especially after some of the recent contracts and cap hits they've had to manage. But that's where smart management comes into play. If Atlanta can find a way to free up some cap space, perhaps through restructuring contracts or moving on from some less impactful players, they might be able to make a competitive offer that could lure Mack to Atlanta. And let's not forget, the Falcons have made some bold moves before, and they're not afraid to pull the trigger on a big-name free agent if it makes sense for their long-term vision. The potential signing of Khalil Mack isn't just about filling a positional need. It's about setting a tone for the team. It's about showing the league and their division rivals that Atlanta is serious about competing and making a push for the playoffs, and possibly beyond. This isn't just a move for the short term, it's a statement that the Falcons are committed to building a championship-caliber defense. With Mack on the edge, paired with other promising young players on the roster, and hopefully a few draft picks to bolster the defensive line, Atlanta could become one of the most feared defenses in the NFC. But let's also talk about what this means for the division. The NFC South has been a wild ride lately, with the Saints rebuilding, the Bucs trying to stay relevant, and the Panthers looking to take a leap forward with their new quarterback and coaching staff. If Atlanta manages to land Mack and perhaps another key defender, they could significantly shift the balance of power in the division. Suddenly, the Falcons are not just trying to catch up, they're positioning themselves as serious contenders. A strong pass rush can turn games around, create turnovers, and give their offense better field position. It's a domino effect that could lead to more wins, more playoff appearances, and perhaps even a shot at a Super Bowl run. And speaking of that, let's not forget the team's overall trajectory. The Falcons have been building steadily, adding young talent on both sides of the ball, developing their quarterback, and trying to find the right coaching mix. This offseason might be the one where everything clicks. The defense, which was a weakness last year, could transform into a strength with the addition of a player like Mack. And if they manage to re-sign key players or bring in other impactful veterans, the roster could look very different by the time training camp rolls around. Now, I know some of you are probably wondering about the other pieces of this puzzle. Because, let's face it, no single player can turn around a defense alone. But Khalil Mack's presence would be a game changer. His ability to line up on the edge, set the edge against the run, and get after the quarterback would provide the kind of boost the Falcons desperately need. Plus, his leadership in the locker room can't be overstated. Bringing in a veteran like Mack signals to the team and the fans that the Falcons are all in on winning now, not just rebuilding for the future. It's about creating a culture of winning and establishing a defensive identity that can compete with the best. And we can't ignore the historical context here. The Falcons have always been known for their high-power defense, but their defense has often been their Achilles heel. Over the years, they've tried different strategies, sometimes investing heavily in defense, other times focusing more on offense. The recent trend has been to find a balance, but the key has always been pass rush. The teams that win championships consistently have disruptive pass rushers, players who can change the course of a game with a single sack or a forced fumble. Think about the great defenses of the past: Tampa Bay's dominant front in 2002, the Legion of Boom in Seattle, or even recent Super Bowl champs like the Kansas City Chiefs, who have quarterbacks that can extend plays but also a relentless front four. What the Falcons are trying to do now is to create that kind of disruptive environment. And signing Khalil Mack would be a giant leap toward that goal. It's not just about adding a star, it's about strategic team building. It's about creating a defense that opponents fear, and that can carry the team during tough times. Plus, with the NFC South being so competitive, every game counts, and having a guy like Mack could be the difference maker in tight contests. Now, let's shift gears a little and look at what's coming up for the Falcons in terms of the rest of the offseason. The draft is looming, and the team has some early picks that could be used to address other needs, like linebacker, cornerback, or even offensive line. But the priority remains clear: they must upgrade their pass rush. If they can combine a solid draft with a savvy free agent signing like Mack, the Falcons could be a completely different team in 2025. Their fan base is energized, and rightfully so. After years of rebuilding, it feels like Atlanta is finally ready to take that next step. And I think it's worth mentioning that the Falcons, front office has shown a willingness to be aggressive when the right opportunity arises. Their recent moves have reflected a team eager to contend, not just rebuild. Bringing in a player of Mack's caliber would send a message across the league. Atlanta is here and they mean business. It's a bold statement, and in the NFL, sometimes that's exactly what you need to turn the tide. The coaching staff, led by head coach Arthur Smith, has been working tirelessly to develop the roster and instill a winning culture. With a strong defense, a versatile offense, and a quarterback who's shown flashes of brilliance, the pieces are there. The question is whether the front office will pull the trigger on this big move, and from what insiders are suggesting, they're seriously considering it. It's a balancing act, of course, making sure the cap space, team chemistry, and long-term plans align. But if they do land Khalil Mack, it could be the start of a new chapter for the Falcons, one where they're not just trying to compete, but actually aiming to dominate. So, as we look ahead, it's clear that the NFL offseason is heating up, and the Atlanta Falcons are right in the thick of it. The signing of Khalil Mack could be the piece that pushes them into serious playoff contention, and maybe even helps them finally get back to the Super Bowl. The NFC South is evolving, and Atlanta wants to be at the forefront of that change. It's an exciting time to be a Falcons fan, and I know many of you are eagerly awaiting the next domino to fall. Remember, the NFL offseason is full of surprises, and sometimes the biggest moves are the ones that make the biggest difference. Whether or not Mack signs with Atlanta, the team's direction is clear. They're building something special. They're bringing in talent, investing in their future, and trying to reclaim their place among the league's elite. And for all of us passionate Falcons fans, that's what makes this offseason so thrilling to watch. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Atlanta Falcons news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Atlanta Falcons fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this potential signing? Do you believe Khalil Mack is the missing piece that could finally push Atlanta over the top? Or are you cautious, thinking about the financial implications and the long-term plan? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion is incredibly valuable to us and to the Falcons community. Remember, we're all in this together, cheering for our team and hoping for a bright future. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, more deep dives, and all the latest news from Atlanta and around the NFL. Stay tuned, stay passionate, and let's keep supporting our Falcons no matter what. After all, this is more than just a team. It's a family, and together, we believe in the possibility of great things ahead.